I hope you're doing really well. I know I'm doing alright today. I'm a bit tired, but it's common. Today we're going to be looking at how you can set up your Espressif software development kit, your Espressif IDF, your ESP-IDF in Visual Studio Code on the Mac. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look up VSCode and you want to download Visual Studio Code for macOS. If you open your applications folder once it's downloaded and come to your downloads here, we can drag that into our applications folder. We can double click on the application to open it up. Click on open. I've actually already got that was an old program that I was playing around with, but I've reset this sort of environment so that it's how you may find it when you're setting up VS Code and your ESP-IDF for the first time. First thing we want to do is we want to come to this extensions marketplace and we want to look up ESP-IDF. That's the name of the tools that Espressif provide our software development kit, and it's an extension for VS Code that we can download. So we want to go ahead and hit install. We also want to but we want to add CMake tools as well to our VS Code extension. So we're going to install that. I'm just going to ignore that for now. So what we've got here is we have our Espressif IDF installed and we also have our CMake tools here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to open up our command palette. We want to type in configure ESP-IDF extension. And that's going to take just a minute to pop up. And once it does, we have different options for how we want to configure our Espressif IDF extension. We're going to do the express method here. We want to use GitHub to download the Espressif software development kit or the ESP-IDF from. We're going to get the latest release version. In my case, it is version 5.4.1. We're going to save it to my home directory, /users /Angus/ESP, and that's going to save it in a subdirectory version 5.4.1 /ESP-IDF, and we will have the ESP-IDF tools directory here. One thing I actually have forgotten to do is delete that directory, so for the purpose of making sure my environment's as similar as it would be to somebody setting up the ESP-IDF tools in Visual Studios for the first time, I'm going to delete it. So what we can do is we can go to /users /Angus /Espressif, and I'm just going to delete all of that. It doesn't matter that the directory still exists because there's nothing inside of the directory, and as we go through the installation it will reset up everything we need in that directory. We also wanted to select a Python version. It looks like I have a lot for some reason, but I like to use this homebrew version because I keep that one up to date. I keep that one, it's the one I actively use. The other ones have probably just come about as time's gone on. So we're going to install the ESP-IDF. This might take a while. I'm not going to speed it up because this is just a one-take tutorial. For me, it's just getting consistency with my tutorial uploads, and I know it's not going to be great. I know it's a last-minute thing. The last video uploaded was a week ago, but I hope that as I progress and learn and continue to explore firmware development myself and build off my undergraduate experience, these videos will also become better as well. So once the ESP-IDF has finished installing, it's downloaded in the location that we discussed before, the ESP-IDF the ESP folder, and now I think it's going to unzip that folder, which, to be fair, it might take a while, so I might stop the video and join it back up once it's finished this process. So that process is, just finished, and what we can do now is we can create a new Espressif project, a new microcontroller project. We want to select the ESP-IDF, the software development kit that Espressif provides. We can give our project a name. I'm going to call this example project 1. And we're going to just save it in our home directory. I'm going to delete it afterwards, but you can choose where you want to store it. You might want to save in your documents or your desktop folder as well. You can choose an ESP-IDF board. I actually don't know if this feature works, but because we always have to set the target later afterwards. But we're going to be using the ESP32 with the C6 chip via USB-J tag. The port that I use isn't actually here at the moment, so we're not going to worry about it, and we're not going to add any ESP-IDF component directory. We're just creating a very basic project. So we're going to be using a template app here as a backbone or a framework that we're going to be building upon. I recommend using this every time you create a new project. We can go ahead and click yes, and we do trust the authors of this project. If we come in here to our main file here, and we also include, I think it's esp log.h, we can call the function esp_log I. We need to provide it with a tag, so we're just going to call it tag, and we're just going to do a basic hello world statement to see if it builds, to see if our program builds, which would be really nice if it does. We can go ahead and save that and come down to our Espressif command, or our Espressif plugin here, and it's going to present us with some commands. The first thing we want to do is we want to set the target that we want to use. In my case, it's the ESP32C6, but commonly you might just be using the ESP32. A lot of the cheap development boards from AliExpress will just be using the ESP32 module. You can spend a few more dollars to get something with a different module, like the ESP32C6. We want to select that we're going to be using our chip. We're not going to be using the LP core. I was reading about that the other day, but I can't actually remember the low power or the lower performance, something like that core, but it's all in the documentation. And whatever I just said, it could be very wrong, but it is. There's an HP. I think it's a high performance and a low performance core as well. But it doesn't really make sense to have a low performance core, but it would be a lower power core. Anyway, I digress. Do we have any problems here? No, we don't. So those errors are resolved, which is really good. And if we just come down here and select build project, whoops, we can see in the terminal that this is the first build that we're doing. So it's going to take a while, but it should be successful. And given that it is successful, I have confidence that the rest of the tools will work when we come to flash device and monitor device. So here it has built successfully. What you can do next is flash your device and then monitor your device as well. And that is a very simple way to get started developing that is not maybe in the Arduino IDE, so maybe you want to get more familiar with the hardware abstraction layer that Espressif provide within their software development kit. Maybe you want to do some programming on the register level, and this is a really good environment that you can use to actually start playing around and testing that. And I do hope that in future videos we will start looking at that. I've looked a little bit into, I started looking at timers again, because I've not looked at how the ESP32 manages time. When I studied, we looked at a derivative of the 8051, and a very old, I think it's 40-year-old microprocessor, and how it manages time. So it's very, the concepts I think are quite similar, but certainly this is a much newer, much better microprocessor, and we've gone from an 8-bit microcontroller to a 32-bit microcontroller. So there's some new stuff for me to learn. Hopefully I'll be able to make some cool videos about that in the future. So thank you for watching. If you've gotten something, if you've learned something about this, please like the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will respond. If you have any feedback for me, likewise, leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to take that on board for future videos to come. And if something didn't quite go as planned, or you couldn't recreate this setup as well, feel free to ask, and I'm happy to try and work it out in the comments with you. Thank you.